What's up, guys? Brett Appley here from dailyfanmma.com, back with another UFC quick picks video for UFC 255, Figueiredo versus Perez, which is on Saturday. We are, of course, on the Mayo Media Network. As usual, make sure you're subscribed to the channel here, guys. Like the video, comment below who your favorite DraftKings play of the week is. Of course, there's a lot of great content coming out throughout the week, not just MMA, but there is the Dog or Pass podcast. Paul Shaughnessy, Cody Saftig, those guys do a great job. That show came out on Wednesday. I personally already watched it. Make sure you guys check it out. And if you haven't, you can pause this video, go watch the breakdowns, and come back here for some UFC quick picks. On dailyfanmma.com, we do have full DraftKings breakdowns this week. I posted like a 90-minute podcast breaking down every fight on the card, rankings, projections, all that good stuff, betting content. Promo code UFC255 gets you 20% off any weekly or monthly package. All right, guys, let's get into our cash game play of the week. And this week it's going to be Valentina Shevchenko at 9.6K. All right, so Valentina Shevchenko at 9.6K is my cash game play of the week. I know that's going to be a little bit obvious here, but I wanted to talk about her as a cash game distinction versus a tournament distinction, because I do like her a lot more in cash games than I do like her for tournaments. She is a massive favorite. She is minus 1,500 to win currently, which is far and away the biggest line on the slate. I mean, one of the biggest lines I've ever seen in a title fight, to be honest. And she is minus 175 to win inside the distance. I mean, she's extremely safe to win, very likely to win inside the distance. She's a superior striker than Jennifer Maia. She's a superior wrestler than Jennifer Maia, and I think that's where she's going to score her points, with the takedowns. And if she doesn't grapple aggressively, I actually do fear that she may not smash on DraftKings. Looking at her scores, she hasn't typically scored that well in wins. 69, 92, 93, 140. That came against Priscilla Cachoeira. 109 against Jędrzejczyk. 103 against Jessica Ai. 65 against Carmouche. 86 against Chookagian. So, I like her in cash games because she's extremely likely to win, very likely to win inside the distance, safe. In tournaments, I think you can make a case to be light on her, underweight on her, potentially even fade her, depending on the number of lineups you're creating. Just because this top range, which I'll give out my tournament play in a second, but this top range is stacked with high upside options. I really like Buckley at 8.9K. I really like Figueiredo at 9. Daniel Rodriguez at 9.1K, and Louis Cosi at 9.3K. All, to me, all have potential to score 100 points or more. So on a very public slate like this, Valentina Shevchenko, you're going to have to pay a lot for her at 9.6K, and I expect a lot of the public will. She's obviously a strong play, safe to win, likely to score well, potential to win inside the distance. It's just she doesn't always produce enough volume to score 120 points, right? That's why we're seeing her around 98, 100, 103, where at 9.6K, 103 points, that may not be enough in tournaments. So Valentina Shevchenko, obviously one of the best plays on the slate, but definitely superior in cash games for me rather than tournaments this weekend. All right, moving on to my favorite tournament play of the week, and I'm going to give out Joaquin Buckley at 8.9K. I forgot to mention our picks last week. I think I gave out Don'Tale Mayes as the tournament play. He busted a little bit. He won, but he did not win inside the distance, so we'll call that one a bust. RDA was a pretty excellent cash game play. I think Quinones as our salary play missed, and the fate of the week, Miranda Granger, lost, so that was actually really good. So a pretty decent week overall. My tournament play this week is going to be Buckley 8.9K against Jordan Wright. Buckley's minus 250 to win, and he is minus 172 to win inside the distance. So one of the best inside distance lines on the entire slate. The only problem here is he's coming off what some would call the best knockout of all time, and whether you agree with that or not, probably a lot of the public has seen it. So, if they don't have the salary to pay up for Valentina or Figueiredo, Buckley's very easy to target at 8.9K, and I do expect him to be, mildly popular, but I really like him this week. The fight as a whole is minus 515 to end inside the distance, and Buckley swings his hands really hard. He goes out there and hunts for a knockout, and he's fighting an opponent in Jordan Wright who is officially undefeated, but has actually been knocked out horribly on the regional scene, on the Contender Series actually, by Anthony Hernandez. Hernandez just rushed in there and knocked him out cold. It was a really bad knockout loss. Jordan Wright excels with his kicks, so at range, he might have success here. He might be able to hurt Buckley early, but I think as soon as Buckley closes that distance, he's going to be able to land on Wright. Wright does not have great defense on the inside, and as we've seen, he can be put out cold. So I really like the potential upside on Buckley this week. The other issue with Wright is that he's only fought out of the first round once, so he hasn't really been tested that much, and against a guy who hits as hard as Buckley, I don't know if the inside skills are there for Wright. So regardless, 8.9K is just such an easy price to pay this weekend for a fighter at the very least capable of winning by knockout, and if he doesn't win by knockout, then yeah, he might bust, but we're always searching for upside here. Minus 172 is such a good inside the distance line. Buckley coming off a 100 point score flat. He doesn't need 120, 130 points to pay off this week. 100 point score would be fantastic at 8.9K. So Buckley against Jordan Wright is my tournament play of the week. All right, let's move on to my salary play of the week. And this week I'm going to give out Alex Perez at 7.2K. He is in the main event against Davison Figueiredo, a big underdog here, currently plus 240. I personally believe Perez is a live underdog here. I haven't been the highest on Figueiredo, and before I talk about Perez, I like Figueiredo on DraftKings. I think if Figueiredo wins, it's probably an early finish. He's got a great inside distance line, main event favorite, 9K, 5 rounds. I don't have anything really bad to say about Figueiredo as a DraftKings play. I'm going to have a bunch of Figueiredo, and I think it's probably smart that you do as well. When I have to dip down in salary below, let's say 7.6K, there's just not a lot of strong options. My personal favorite is Alex Perez, especially because, again, I do think he can win this fight. And I personally just like his style better than Figueiredo's. Figueiredo's much more reliant on damage. He doesn't land a lot of strikes, only 2.8 significant strikes per minute. He hasn't been that great of a wrestler in his UFC career. Perez is just a much more consistent, higher-paced boxer, more varied, less reliant on that one-strike knockout power. And so if he can survive the first round, if he can survive the first 7 minutes, this is a 25-minute fight. Figueiredo tends to get tired after even a round and a half. So I'm just not sold that we're going to see some elite power-striking, explosive fighter in Figueiredo last 25 minutes. And if Perez can just survive the early exchanges, I really think he's technical enough to hang with Figueiredo and potentially beat him. He's landed 4.68 significant strikes per minute. He's landed 3.03 takedowns per 15 minutes. He's a solid wrestler as well. Yeah, Figueiredo might just jump for a guillotine and maybe he locks it in. But again, if these explosive movements, when they work, they work. When they don't work, I think you're going to see him exposed a little bit, and I'm not very comfortable with Figueiredo as a massive favorite at minus 300 like he is currently. 7.2K, I'm personally looking to be not heavily, but at least a little bit overweight to Perez at 7.2K. When I am dropping low in salary, he's going to be one of, if not my favorite plays. Again, 5 rounds to work with. He can strike at a high pace. He can wrestle at a high pace. He's varied. He can land leg kicks. I think he can really hang in there with Figueiredo over the long run. It's just hoping that he survives the first few dangerous exchanges. So Alex Perez, main event underdog, 7.2K is my salary saving play of the week. Finally, my fade of the week for UFC 255 is going to be the other Shevchenko, Antonina Shevchenko, at 8.4K. She is a minus 160 favorite over Ariane Lipski, and I do think she has advantages in this fight. She's a pretty good striker, especially defensively. She doesn't absorb many strikes per minute, but she just doesn't push enough of a pace for me to be confident that, be confident enough to make an investment in her on DraftKings. At 8.4K, we're looking for probably 90 points or more at that price, and her last 2 wins, she scored 81 and 76. She's landed 0.5 takedowns per 15 minutes. She's had issues defensively with her grappling. Maybe she could land a takedown in this spot. I wouldn't be shocked by it, but we can't really rely on her to land takedowns. And she lands 4.09 significant strikes per minute. She's topped out at 73 on the Contender Series, 66 in the UFC. So we're looking at a 70, 75, 80-point score at 8.4K. That's just not enough. And even if you look at her chance to finish here, I believe her inside distance line is pretty poor, plus 460. So coming off guys like Buckley, minus 172, Figueiredo is north of minus 200, plus 460 to win inside the distance. A very poor line tells me that we really can't expect it. We have to expect a decision from Antonina Shevchenko if she gets the job done, and I'm not even certain she will. I think this fight could be very competitive. So 8.4K, there are just so many other fighters in this range who I prefer. Perry Means I really like. Joban Gooden should be high action. Craig Shogun has some upside. Moreno Royval should be super high paced. I love that fight. So Antonina Shevchenko just has no business at 8.4K for me. I'm not going to be investing in her this weekend, and she will be my fade of the week for UFC 255. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the UFC Quick Picks. Thank you again for the support. As always, again, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below who your favorite DraftKings play of the week is. DailyFanMMA.com's got all the breakdowns you need, podcast rankings, projections, all that good stuff. Promo code UFC255 for 20% off. You can follow me on Twitter, @Appley. Best of luck in your contests this week, guys. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.